Good afternoon and happy summer, fellow shopkeepers and do-it-yourselfers out there in YouTube land. Got a 2005 Chevy Colorado four-wheel drive, making a lot of racket in the rear end. Guy believes his axle bearing on the right side is bad. It's not throwing gear oil like I thought it might be. But anyway, we're taking it apart and we're going to go ahead and check both sides, brakes and wheel bearings and grease seals. So we've got it jacked up and got both wheels off, both brake drums off. Got the rear cover off of it, drained it. The oil looks a bit low and like it's got a bit of moisture in it and some metallic content, so we might have some issues in here that he wasn't anticipating. But anyway, you got 13mm head bolts all the way around. They were kind of rusty. The heads were pretty rusty, so I had to work a little bit to get the socket to fit on there. But anyway, do yourself a favor and get you a good 6.5/16 or an 8mm wrench. You might be able to get a small 1/4-inch ratchet in there, but I doubt if you have enough clearance unless you take this carrier bearing cover or keeper cap off of there. But anyway, got it loose, and I wouldn't recommend a 12-point socket unless that's all you got, because it might slip. Get it loose and it'll slide out of the way far enough that you can get your side gear pin out and pull that out, and don't turn your axles individually with that pin out, because you'll spin them side gears and all that stuff's going to fall apart, and then you're going to have to watch another video. But anyway, reach up and turn your drive shaft. You know, you'll have to take your transmission out apart so you can turn your drive shaft. But rotate your carrier. Well, go this way and I'll show you a little bit of this. This is your locking differential. This spins when one axle spins freely, and with enough spinning force, the counterweights on that will expand and it pushes on this locking device that locks both of your axles in, so you have a posi-track differential. But anyway, and that's wanting to catch in there. But anyway, we'll rotate this back, and I think that bolt was hitting up here on the carrier housing. We'll spin that back so this side is facing us, and we're going to turn it so it's facing kind of downward a little bit, not straight out. That way, when you reach out and push on the axle flange, push it inward, I go back out to kind of center that. There, it's centered. Well, I thought it was. There we go. Then you can stick something in there and kind of rotate it, and it'll fall right out of there. There you go. There you go. It's just a horseshoe keeper, and that locks that axle from being able to slide out. You ever go down the road and see a vehicle going down the road and the axle sticking way out like that? Anyway, that's how you do that. And then when you put it back together, you slide it in, put your keeper in, and then slide the axle back out, because that keeper goes into a groove in this axle gear. And then when you put that pin in, that goes between the end of the axle stubs and keeps them from coming in, so those carrier or those keepers can't fall out. But anyway, we'll go up there and look at the end of the axle. I'm trying to get my dadgum camera set up where I can point at that wheel and use both hands. I don't think I can do it. I think I got it. Watch, the camera's gonna fall. Anyway, pull the axle out, and the mating surface right here where the bearing rides is kind of chewed up and it's discolored. I think it's been running low on oil. I slide the axle out. And, I use it. If I can, I don't think it'll let me. I like to use that for my seal puller, but I guess I have to get a pair of pliers. Seal puller. Get my other seal puller that doubles as a pair of pliers. Get it out one piece at a time like Johnny Cash. Like Johnny Cash does, one piece at a time. Well, there we go. There we go. Now, you can use a crow's foot or something like that to stick in there and pop that out, but I want it to be difficult. I don't know if my light will work. There we go. Well, I ain't even looked at it either. But that's metal content laying in there behind that bearing. Not good. So we need to replace that bearing. But they got pullers that you can put in. It's like a long bolt with a slide hammer on it. It's got a puller plate that swivels. You put it in there and pull back on it, and you slide the hammer and it'll knock that bearing right out. It presses in. And they've also got a bearing, an axle saver bearing. Instead of a bearing and a seal, you have a bearing seal combination that presses in, and your bearing will actually ride on a different spot of the axle, because the axle is machined from here all the way out to here with that bearing surface, and it'll move where the bearing rides about right here instead of right there where the axle's chewed up. And that'll save you probably a couple $100 or more for the price of an axle. Retail, I haven't bought an axle in years. I don't know how much they are, but probably pretty salty. But anyway, we're going to check that other side, and I bet it probably looks the same as this one, because it was not necessarily because of bearing failure as much as it was because of lack of lubrication and letting all that metal and just tearing up that bearing. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that, fellas. You have a good day. We'll see you again.